Until now, in the course, we have seen some logistics about the course, what online social media is, what is the impact in numbers, and some ways in which we can actually use this social media services, and some examples of these social media services. What I'll cover today is actually looking at some of the incidences, both positive and negative, where social media has actually played a role. Here is the first one. As I put it in the slide, it happened in 2009. This is the first time ever social media service like Twitter was actually used for crisis management. Here is a tweet which actually Jake K. Roms actually posted, which reads as, "There's a plane in the Hudson. I'm on the ferry going to pick up the people. Crazy." Until then, Twitter was basically used for conversations, basically used for saying what I'm doing in life. In the morning, there would be a post saying, "Good morning, Monday, I'm having coffee, I'm traveling here," and things like that. Whereas, first time in 2009, Jake Roms actually posted this tweet where when the US Airways flight landed in the Hudson River, this post came out. And before the first responders could reach, there was actually public citizens who were actually helping in the situation. So therefore, Twitter and social media services have been used in many different ways. And I'm going to talk to you about some examples, some incidences where social media has played both positive and the negative role. In this case, it's very positive because it helps in actually solving crisis and helping first responders. Here is an example where in India, there was a kid who was actually lost in a railway station, and somebody took a picture of this kid with the railway police officer, and in 20 minutes she was actually able to connect with her parents. The primary way by which this was done was actually the picture was posted on social media, particularly mentioning the concept that I said earlier in my lecture, mentioning the Indian Railways Minister. And therefore this tweet got viral, this picture got viral, and the kid was able to connect with her parents within 20 minutes. Keeping some of these examples, particularly with missing child, there's been also organizations which has been started only to help finding out missing child and parents through social media. So here is one example, which is Find Your Missing Child, using only social media services. And this website actually provides a lot of tips on how one can use these social media services to connect with children to find out the missing children. So here's another example where a teenager was found dead just days after posting a message on social media. So this is more like a negative thing where the girl posted information on her Facebook account where she was saying that about she was being bullied. Cyberbullying is one of the big problems on social media also. We'll talk about it later in the course a bit, but because of the cyberbullying, people have actually killed themselves, and many a times they actually leave a message on their own social network. In this case, she's been posting information about being cyberbullied on Facebook. At the end of the day, she actually gives her life. So in the world, if you look at it, when social media was were being used for crisis, this is the first time when social media was actually used to create or to propagate an incident. In the 2009 Hudson River, it was actually used for solving a problem, whereas in this case, UK riots made worse by rolling news on Twitter and Facebook. So the messages were sent on Twitter and Facebook saying that let's go do this ad in the street. There have been many incidences like this which you may have come across where it is not that content on social media is talking about an incident that happens in the real world, but these days social media itself is being used for organizing an event. So in this example, if you see a news article which came out talking about Nepal earthquake, government using social media to connect and provide relief. Particularly in India, if you see, there's a lot more usage of social media for interacting with citizens. And this has been done for the last at least a year or a year and a half, where it has become more, the social networks have proliferated the way that the government is organizing themselves and interacting with citizens. So another incident that happened in the world, which also is something that if you read about the effect of social media, this incident would actually be one of the most phenomenal events that happened in terms of using social networks. So this was main social media that was used in this case was actually Twitter, where they were actually using Twitter to connect with citizens, getting them to one place, and a revolution happened because of using these social networks, where it went very viral through these services like Twitter and Facebook. So it is not only that social media services have been used or misused in situations like the Egypt or situations like finding kids. There's also a lot of misinformation that are actually floating around on social media services. For example, in this case, Boston bombing that happened, there was a tweet which said that RIP to the 8-year-old boy who died in Boston explosion while running for the Sandy Hook kids. There was no 8-year-old kid who was actually participating in the Boston Marathon. There was also another tweet during this Boston Marathon which said that please RT this tweet, which is retweet this tweet. We will actually pay $1 to Boston Marathon League. There was no money that was actually transferred to Boston Marathon League. And these tweets get retweeted many, many times. The RT tweet got retweeted more than a few thousands times in a couple of hours. So studying this misinformation is one of the main focus of this course also. We talked about cyberbullying. Cyberbullying will come back again in the course. We also talked about incidences like these, incidences like Egypt revolution. We will look at these kind of incidences later in the course, where we can collect data for these incidences and do some analysis around it. We also, I also mentioned about how Indian government is using social media for their interactions with citizens. A specific module in the course we will also study about how police organizations are actually using social networks to interacting with citizens. So here is another problem. It is not about only these fake content. It is not only about the cyberbullying content that are being posted on social networks. Here is the Associated Press, which is a verified account. Verified account means it is legitimate and it is actually Associated Press. Twitter actually verifies the account if you're a celebrity, if you have a lot more followers, and if you are actually a marketing company which can pay for it, you can actually get your accounts verified. So in this case, if you see, the Associated Press is actually posting this tweet called "Breaking: 2 explosions in White House and Barack Obama is injured." So, I mean, I'm sure you already understand the implications of this specific tweet. This tweet is verified, and therefore people thought that it is a legitimate post. But unfortunately, this account was compromised for a little bit of a time, and that's when this post was done. So therefore, it is not only that the content that are posted are not credible, but you can also have these problems like compromised accounts. So I'm just enumerating using these examples, what I'm trying to do is to enumerate the different problems that happen on social media. Also, here is another one that I was also following very closely. So this is Chennai floods, November, December 2015, and when the floods happened, there was a lot of uproar about one of these pictures, which is a crocodile on the streets. And there was no crocodile, there was no alligator on the streets. So this is another way by which actually such misinformation has been spread. And there have been incidences in the past where Hurricane Sandy in the US, where they had a picture with a shark in the water, and this is a crocodile in the water in the street in Chennai. So these kind of problems, which is not only the text problem, there's also the image problem, where the fake images are being posted on social media, which becomes viral, which also has impact on the society. Oh, so here is another interesting problem that happened about a year or 2 years back. Robin Williams, when he passed away, there was a goodbye message for him, which looked as though he actually posted this video on Facebook, but this was actually a fake video. It was not a video that was taken before his death. So situations like these, which is floods, incidences like these of death of Robin Williams, Boston Marathon blast, people use these situations to create malicious content, or content that is not credible on social media. So this is another problem which we will actually study in detail. So this is the hurricane example that I talked a few seconds back, which is the 3 images in this slide. The one on the left, which is McDonald's, the tweet reads as McDonald's in Virginia Beach flooded, which is actually a picture of McDonald's, but it was not taken from Virginia Beach. It is actually taken somewhere else in the other part of the world a few years before. And the image in the middle is the image that I talked about, which is, it looks like there's a shark in the water while the Hurricane Sandy was going on. And the third image on the right hand top is actually the image from a movie which was used to say that, oh, that's how it looks now when this hurricane is going on. So all 3 are fake images, but they were all used in an incident like Hurricane Sandy to propagate malicious content, to propagate these kind of information which is not credible. So until now, we saw some events that were talking about malicious content, how people can connect with government organizations, how these information can be actually used to reconnect with parents and things like that. But here is an example which also happened some years back, which is MI6, which is military intelligence chief. Couldn't take his job because his wife actually posted some pictures on Facebook, which the pictures also became public, and the picture showed that this MI6 chief, who was going to become the chief, is being with some people whom he should not have been with. So therefore, there's also this privacy issue, which we'll talk about, which is how much of information about you or people around you are getting revealed through these social networks. So there's this whole idea of privacy, the whole idea of using policing and online social network. There's also credible information, misinformation on social network. So those are the different topics, as I said in one of my earlier lectures, about the topics that we will cover. So now let me talk to you about why Facebook ID, knowing who you are through your Facebook handle, is important. Because I think marketers can actually use the information, who you are and where you are from and things like that from your Facebook account, and actually send relevant information to you. And that's why understanding Facebook account, understanding your Facebook handle is becoming such an important topic also, which is personalization, which is understanding user behavior and things like that, targeted advertisement and topics around it. A few more implications about social media also. If you look at this one, where there have been many people who around the world have lost the job because they have been using Facebook and Twitter too much. So therefore, this implication, which is about usage of social networks itself and your organizations keeping track of what you're posting. And there have been incidences also where people have posted, employees of companies have posted about projects that they're working on, which they should not be talking about on social media. And when these content goes in hands of people whom they should not be looking at, and this information can actually be used against the company actually takes a very strong thing against the employee itself. Okay, so now just wrapping up the week 1 content, how we have done. We have done actually growth of online social media, which is how large it is, what is it, how much of content is getting generated on 60 seconds and things like that. And we also looked at velocity, volume, variety, value, and veracity. So those are the 5 V's that we talked about. And different social networks like Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, Whisper, Periscope, Tinder. These are the different social networks also we saw about. And now in this lecture, I talked about some incidences that where social media is used for both positive and negative implications. So those are the topics that we covered. We also have uploaded content on setting up your machine to use Linux and Python. So these are 2 tutorials that we have uploaded for this week. So as I was saying in the first part of the introduction of the course, we will actually have some hands-on tutorials over the semester. So this will actually help you to get hands-on, and particularly some of the things that we're going to be talking early in the course will help you actually to understand and do things by yourself as we move forward in the course. For example, you need to write Python code to collect data from Twitter and Facebook. You will have to get yourself familiarized with it. It is not that difficult. The tutorial is about 25 or 30 minutes together, Linux and Python. If you can set this up, if you can understand a little bit about how to set up Linux and Python and set it up as early as possible in a machine that you will have access to, which you can use it for the entire course time. And last 2 slides that I had was there's a Facebook page that we have for the group, which is Precog, where we actually talk about a lot of things that we are going to be discussing in the course also, which is in this page. Many of the things that we talk about or share is the activities that are around the topics that I'm going to be talking about in this course, and things that the students do. And if there's anything interesting that happens around this topic, we would also share it here. So I would highly recommend you to look at this page, precog.iitd on Facebook. It is very similar to the page. This is a website that we actually maintain, precog.iitd.edu.in. This is a website where we actually collate all the information that the group, the work of the group that we do together. So I highly recommend you to look at these 2, the Facebook page and this web page, for any updates on these topics around, if not only for this course, beyond this course also, because I think it will always be good to have updated content or the latest content on these topics. With that, I'll wrap this up for the week 1. So what we will do in the next week is, we will talk a little bit about one of the topics that I covered very briefly with incidences today, and we will also have some hands-on session tutorials also uploaded for next week. So there will be also homeworks uploaded for week 1. Please try to attempt it, and if there are any questions, feel free to post it on the forum on NPTEL online course website. I'll be happy to actually answer some of them if it is something that we could actually answer. You can't be asking what is the answer to these questions. So therefore, I'll sign off from here and see you in the next lecture.